Ghana means business. Your story, our message.
The excellent relations between Germany and Ghana have enormous potential. Ghana and Germany share the same values, and Ghana is an anchor of stability in West Africa. Our reform and investment partnership leads the way to the future. These are the words, the truthful words, the passionate words of His Excellency Ambassador Christoph Retzlaff, the German ambassador to Ghana. Good morning, my cherished viewers. I am so happy to be with you once again. The program is Ghana Means Business, your apolitical, factual, unbiased platform to present the business, economy, finance, and investment issues in Ghana today. This morning, we are privileged, no, we are honored to have with us on this show His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency, Herr Christoph Retzlaff. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Ghana means business. Your story, our message.
Ghana is regarded as West Africa's most stable democracy. As the second largest economy in West Africa, it is a key country and an important political partner for Germany in the region. This was accentuated and given additional impetus when the Federal President of Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, visited Ghana in 2017 to open a business roundtable discussion in Accra. To deepen the presence of Germany in Ghana, 17 prestigious German institutions, including the German embassy, have been established in the country to contribute to the image of Germany in Ghana and give proof of the special relations between these two countries. Did you know that the German Bilateral Development Cooperation with Ghana has exceeded 1.5 billion euros since 1956? Did you know that Germany is Ghana's most important supplier of vehicles? And did you also know that the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, alone has benefited from more than 40 professors and lecturers who have studied in Germany? Ghana and Germany, partners for the future. This is Christoph Retzlaff, born in March 1962 at Stuttgart in Germany. He's married with 3 children. He has held different challenging positions in different countries. Prior to his appointment as the German ambassador to Ghana, he was the deputy head of mission at the German embassy in Egypt.
Guten Tag, Herr Ambassador.
Oh, perfect. You're welcome.
Wie geht es Ihnen?
Oh, I didn't know you speak fluent German.
Ich spreche gut Deutsch.
Oh, you speak at least better German than I speak Ghanaian. Congratulations.
Ambassador, thank you so much for inviting us to your wonderful house. Thank you so much. We are privileged. Now, the first question I want to ask you, as the ambassador, you represent everything that is German. What does it mean to be a German? And what are the values and traditions that Germans stand for?
Wow, that's a strong question. For the beginning, I think if you ask 10 Germans what is German, you would get 10 different answers.
Okay.
Maybe it's a good way of starting reminding our viewers that when Germany hosted the World Cup, the Football World Cup in 2006, we branded this slogan, Germany is the land of ideas. And I think that's a very fitting branding, because we see ourselves as, of course, an economic powerhouse in Europe and the world. And I think we stand a lot for innovation. Bloomberg has just voted Germany as the most innovative country in the world, which really makes us proud. I think we have cutting-edge technology in Germany. And we are trying to get a leading role in the 21st century with digitization, with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I would say probably would be fair to say that we stand for reliability. We stand for partnerships. We are not coming in other countries in an economic terms to dominate or to just take our profits. So we stand for reliable long-term partnerships, and this is exactly what we want to do in Ghana.
Excellency, last year, the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, had the Compact with Africa dialogue. This was a summit in Berlin, and I think the whole thrust was how to bring about partnerships and investment into Africa. And during this meeting, Ghana signed 2 major investment agreements. What were these agreements and what did they seek to achieve?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the Compact with Africa is a very successful initiative. It was launched in June 2017 in Berlin by Chancellor Angela Merkel when Germany had the G20 presidency. This was already, last November, was already the 3rd Compact with Africa investment conference in Berlin, so we do it every year.
Okay.
It was very successful. We had, if I remember correctly, 10 African heads of state and government in Berlin. President Nana Akufo-Addo was one of them for the 3rd time already in Berlin since he took office in January 2017. We signed, in fact, 2 MOUs. The first MOU is about the planned setting up of a cocoa processing and chocolate fabricating plant in Suhum.
Oh, okay.
With an initial investment of a bit more than €1 million. So it will be a German investor who comes there, which is certainly very important because it shows that if Ghana wants to modernize and to industrialize the country, we need to do the value adding here in Ghana.
Very
it's
important.
not enough that we just
export
Ghana
raw
just
cocoa.
export raw cocoa. You know, you will only keep a fraction of the added value in this country. So the trick is doing the processing and the value adding here. So I think that is why this project is so important. The second project is we are investing into a textile company here in Accra, DTRT Apparel. That's a company that is already benefiting from a cooperation with German investors. And we want to create within the next 1 or 2 years 1,500 new jobs in this factory. And the bigger framework for this investment is that we see a good chance that Ghana could develop itself as a kind of hub for the textile industry, not only for Europe, but also for the US. For the moment, as you know, a lot of textile production is taking place in Asian countries.
That is true.
But obviously, if you look at the map, Ghana is much closer to the European markets and the US markets than East Asia. So I think there is a good chance that Ghana and many other African countries too could develop this textile industry to create jobs. And lastly, the most important in terms of volume deals, MOUs we signed there at the Compact conference in Berlin is the Siemens Gridco MOU. You might have heard about it and seen it in the press. Siemens is trying to modernize the national grid system here in Ghana, which is obviously very important for a functioning electricity distributing system. The initial phase of this project has a volume of 250 million euros, so it's really big.
That's a big project.
It could go up in the second and third phase to 500 million euros. Both parties, the Ghanaian side and the German side, Siemens, are working out the details right now.
So who's financing this?
This will probably be a commercial financing, but to, I would say, very attractive and highly concessional terms.
Mr. Ambassador, in your opinion, how conducive is the business climate in Ghana, especially for Germans and people within the European Union who are still sitting out there with this perception of Ghana and the rest of Africa?
Yeah, I think you have touched upon a very important question indeed. After 3.5 years here in Ghana, I must say that certainly the interest of the German business community, of German businesses doing business here in Ghana, is growing. We had just last year, February 2019, we had for the first time in West Africa the so-called German Africa Business Summit here in Accra, with more than 800 participants, most of them business and political leaders from Germany here in Accra. A huge success, and for the first time I would say Ghana as a hub for opportunities has really been anchored on the radar screen of German businesses. And we have to continue to do that because we always have the experience that the German business community, who is traditionally dealing more with Asia and with China and with Russia, these are our traditional markets, they don't really know what it is about to invest in West Africa. If they're doing business with Africa, they're going to North Africa, Egypt and the Mediterranean countries there. They're going to South Africa. They're going maybe to some countries in East Africa. But West Africa has been some kind of terra incognita for many German companies. Not for the global players like Volkswagen and Siemens. They are used, of course, doing business in Africa and here in West Africa, but for the small and medium-sized companies. And as you know, these small and medium-sized companies, they are the backbone of the German economy. And for them, we have to change the perception. We have to advertise Ghana, West Africa, especially Ghana, as a country of opportunities. To bring them here, to anchor Ghana as an investment and trade hub in their minds. And I think Ghana has actually a lot to offer. Ghana is perfectly located to serve as a kind of hub for the entry in the whole West African market here. You are a stable democracy. The macroeconomic numbers of Ghana have improved considerably over the last years. Ghana is now one of the fastest growing economies, not only in Africa, but in the world. Ghana was the African country that attracted the most FDI in 2019 in West Africa here. There are a lot of business opportunities here, and it is our job at the embassy and my job as the ambassador to transmit, to convey this message also to the German business community.
That is great. Ambassador, if you flip it on the other hand, are there also opportunities for Ghanaian investors in Germany? So Ghanaians too who want to invest in Germany, are there opportunities, and if so, what areas can they look at?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, you think, of course, about the traditional export markets for agri-business, you know, for fruits and vegetables coming to the European market. We have a couple of small German investments here in this country who export, for instance, pineapple, mango, and so to German supermarkets. But, and this is very important, as we are in the 21st century now, what is now starting is that a lot of German companies are looking to especially Ghana as a place for investment for digitization projects. So there are German companies who are interested in outsourcing part of their IT work to a country like Ghana. And I think this is a very promising development that we want to foster and to strengthen.
Excellent. Now, for the German companies that come in, I'm sure some of them have a few challenges. What is the commonality that runs through? What are the usual challenges that they face in Ghana?
Yes, of course, we have a close contact and discussion with our German business community here in Ghana. What we are hearing from the German business community is sometimes, despite all reform measures, that bureaucracy is too difficult to overcome here in
red tape, as in
exactly.
The process.
Exactly.
It takes too long.
You have to go to too many places to get your permissions and registrations and what. I know this is changing. I know there are ambitious reform projects also on the digital frontier. There's the idea of having a one-stop shop.
That would help a lot.
All do this, and I think this is the way to go. But for the moment, this is sometimes a challenge. Another one is, of course, infrastructure. As you know, reliable energy. the road and the railway system here needs improvement here. And then, of course, we have also kind of minimum capital requirements in this country here, which are not conducive for some small and medium-sized German
they are too high. The minimum is too high.
They are too high. I mean, they range from 100,000 to 1 million euros, depending on what kind of cooperation and what business sector you're coming in here. That doesn't sound a lot of money, but we are hearing from our business community that is, especially the small business, you know, for them it's quite something if they have to come with 1 million and invest it here in Ghana. Absolutely. So I think we would like to see some improvements. But overall, I think it's a very business-friendly and conducive environment. But having said that, obviously, I think it's also room for improvement. I understand that the government is working on this, working very hard on this. But I think there are things that can be improved.
Thank you. The issue of global warming is one that has affected everybody on this planet. I remember back when I was growing up in the 70s, our Christmas, the harmattan was so thick you could cut it with a knife. These days it actually even rains in December, rains in January in some of our tropical areas around Kumasi and the eastern parts of the country. Global warming is not something we can take for granted. Mr. Ambassador, please help us to understand how global warming is having a negative impact and how we can address that.
I think it's about time that Ghana, together with international partners like Germany and many others, tackle this issue of climate change. And of course, there is a link between, for instance, deforestation in this country and climate change. And if I remember the numbers correctly, 80% of Ghana's primary forest has been disappearing over the last 20 years. That's an alarming number. I know I spoke with some ministers about this. Everybody agrees that we have to do something. The EU is doing projects here for forestry. Germany is starting a new project here. We have just signed an agreement with the government of Ghana on about 5 million euros for the next 4 years to do some forest projects. You know, charcoal production in this country is a problem. People, of course, we are relying on this kind of energy production here, but it's very detrimental to the forest.
Absolutely.
So we have to find alternatives, and that's why we are working together with the government of Ghana. And just last week, we launched a new waste-to-energy project, waste-to-energy plant close to Kumasi.
Okay.
And the purpose of this plant is to burn household waste and to transform it into clean energy.
And feed into the national grid?
Exactly.
Good.
This is one state-of-the-art technology example how we can get
And this has started in Kumasi?
The sod cutting has been done last week in Kumasi.
Okay.
It's a 6.5 million euro project supported by the German government. We are doing that together with the Ministry for Environment, Science and Technology.
Okay.
A very good partner in this endeavor. So this project tackles, first of all, the waste problem in Ghana,
which is a big issue, sanitation.
Which is a big issue, and then it tackles also the energy problem, and by this it's saving up to 7,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year. So a great project.
That is a great project. I like the fact that it's renewable energy, as opposed to direct aid, is now also another business investment project that the Germans are bringing in, first with the solar, and now this kind of refuse or garbage into energy, which serves about 3 or 4 purposes. That is great.
Yeah, it's actually a part of our new philosophy that we want to shift away from pure development cooperation, because we have seen that development cooperation, of course, is very useful and will remain useful in the future, but it has never been the game changer for African countries to be able to stand economically on their own feet. And for a country like Ghana with so much economic potential, I think it's better if we rely, in addition, on private investment, on private business to create job and investment in this country.
That is a great idea.
Technology transfer, these kinds of things.
Precisely.
Yeah, this is what we want to do.
This is great.
Ghana means business. Your story, our message.
Mr. Ambassador, perhaps one of the most important initiatives is the compact with Africa between Germany and the rest of Africa, but specifically Ghana. What would you say has been one of the major benefits of the compact with Ghana?
Yeah, I share your assessment that the Compact with Africa is really a successful and good initiative. Ghana was among the first 7 African countries to join this initiative 3 years ago. Now we have 12 African countries who are part of this initiative here. We have a number of very concrete projects and investments. I mentioned the solar plant that we are just about to construct in Wa here. That will be the biggest public solar power plant in Ghana. The whole project has a volume of 30 million euros. 23 million euros are provided by the German government. Okay. This is a Compact with Africa and German Reform Partnership investment. Then we have Siemens. I mentioned the grid enhancement project. And then, of course, we have Volkswagen, the German car maker Volkswagen, who has announced that they will start car assembling here in Ghana, which I think would be a tremendously important sign for other companies, not only in Germany, that Ghana is a place where you can do business. And good news, the date is set. Volkswagen will start car assembling very soon, concretely in March here.
March this year?
In March this year.
Next month?
Next month, exactly.
Wow.
So finally, we will have Volkswagen here. I'm very delighted to see this, because this is really, really important. But I should also mention, Compact with Africa is not only about company investment here. What the German government, for instance, has done, we have launched last summer a 1 billion euro fund to support German and European companies who want to do trade with and invest in Africa. Okay. And this money is basically seed money for startups, or it is money to mitigate the risks for investments. So this is also a very important project, a 1 billion euro fund for the whole.
This is Germany, just Germany, or the European Union?
This is Germany, just Germany.
Germany alone has set aside $1 billion.
Exactly.
That is impressive. That is very impressive.
Thank you very much.
That is very impressive. Excellency, your art pieces are phenomenal. This lady in the beautiful Adinkra cloth, and the fact that she's sitting on what we term Kufuor cans, these cans that are normally used for cooking oil. Her hair, her look, the whole positioning of the photograph is phenomenal. Where do you pick these from, and have you been an avid art collector since you came to Ghana?
Yeah, it's awesome. Every morning I see the painting. I like it. I'll tell you the story.
So colorful.
When I came here in August 2016, I came across an exhibition at the Gallery 57 at Kempinski. I think one of the best galleries in this country for contemporary African art. And it just hit my eyes. You know, the title of this series is "Yellow is the Color of Water." You know?
Yellow is the color of water.
Yellow is the color of water, and I was really impressed, you know, because it brings so many different African realities together in one thing. The artist is Jeremiah Kwashi. So Ghanaian art, African art, is something my heart is very much attached to.
It's beautiful.
And it's great to be here.
It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
This boy on this bicycle, this piece of art, speaks volumes to almost every Ghanaian who grew up in the 60s and 70s. Where did you get this painting from?
That was very easy. It was my wife, who actually is a quite talented photographer, I must say, and she took the photo when we were traveling here.
So your wife took the photograph?
My wife took the photograph, yes. It's one of her many talents, if I may say so, and it's one of my most favorite photos here in Ghana.
And that's why it takes this wonderful pride of place in your office.
Exactly, because you see this young boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old, with his blue painted bicycle.
And he's so proud of it.
He's so proud as he's driving the most expensive
He's driving a Mercedes Maybach.
Exactly, so I really like it. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Your wife has the eye. There is the fabled Ghanaian hospitality. Everybody that I've met that has come from outside always speaks about Ghanaians being exceptionally hospitable. Have you experienced the Ghanaian hospitality, and what would you say would be your singular most impressive experience?
Yeah, I mean, this is very important. This is something you can feel as a foreigner from the moment you enter this country here. Hospitality is really part of your Ghanaian DNA here. Maybe the example that impressed or even touched me most with regard to Ghanaian hospitality was when a couple of months ago I met a young lady from Liberia who has been living in Ghana since almost 20 years now, and she told me her story. She had to flee Liberia when the bloody civil war was raging in Liberia, and she was brought to Ghana without parents, without her siblings who were somewhere she didn't know. And she came, just by chance, to some small village here in Ghana where people were really poor. And you know what these people did? She told me. They took her as part of her family. They provided a bed, they provided food, they made sure she could go to school. You know, they treated her as their own child. You know, and she was so grateful for that. And I think this story captures the essence what Ghanaians are and what Ghanaian hospitality means.
That is great. That is great. As a career diplomat, I know that very soon you may be leaving us. How would you want to be remembered?
I think for me it's really an honor to serve my country, Germany, as an ambassador to this great country, Ghana here. It's a very substantial partnership. We can do a lot, and I always tell my colleagues at the embassy, we might be doing political initiatives or projects, but in the end, what we are doing, we are trying to improve the life and the lives of real people on the ground here. And this is a very good feeling for myself, for my colleagues at the embassy. And if I'm remembered as somebody who has strengthened the relations between Ghana and Germany, has brought some additional business projects to this country, has fostered the exchange between our two countries by scholarships, university partnerships, then I think I would be really happy.
That is great. Mr. Ambassador, it has been phenomenal being with you. We appreciate your candid feedback, and we also, most importantly, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to have this interview.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Very, very
Thank you very much.
We are very grateful.
Thank you,
sir.